Thank you so much for being here, you guys. I know it's evening and your time is valuable, so we're going to make this as quick and informative as possible. I'm Sarah. I'm an executive recruiter and founder of Bayview Talent, a search firm that specializes in placing go-to-market leaders at high-growth startups. And I'm joined here by Christine, who has been in leadership at several high-growth startups, the customer success consulting firm, and she also gives great career advice to her large following on TikTok. So if you're not already following her, she's at Career with Christine. And over the next 30 minutes, you are going to learn how to stand out in a crowded market, how recruiters find and evaluate candidates, and how to position yourselves most effectively for open roles. You'll also get a sneak peek of LinkedIn Corporate Recruiter and its powerful search filters. And you'll also get to see some great examples of LinkedIn profiles that you can model yours after. But before we dive in, since most of you don't know me or Christine yet, I thought it might be helpful to give you a little bit more context. I typically work with Series A startups, helping founders figure out who they need to hire, how to find those people. I specialize in customer success or post-sales roles in SaaS, but I've done marketing, sales, and a bunch of operations roles as well. One of the things that I'm best known for is my sourcing. So I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn searching for candidates that will be a near perfect fit for my clients' open roles. So I work with both the client and the candidate throughout the interview process and negotiations. And over the years have worked closely with hundreds, if not thousands, of candidates. And Christine, you want to give a quick intro?
Hi all, my name is Christine Raby, and as Sarah mentioned, I'm the founder of Deliver Delight. I'm a customer success expert who focuses on helping early to growth stage startups scale up their customer success efforts. And over the years, I have hired hundreds of people, screening thousands of candidates and reviewing thousands of LinkedIn's and resumes along the way. And specifically over the last couple of years, I've helped many people find and land their next dream job just by virtue of folks reaching out to them through my network. And what I realized was that the number one differentiator for everyone I worked with was actually making changes to their LinkedIn. So that's what led me to some of this work with Sarah and why I'm so excited to discuss this with you today, because it's been really impactful. Over to you, Sarah.
Great. So I want to talk for a minute about why we're here. And to say that the job market is tough would be an understatement. Most candidates report that it takes at least 100 applications to get one interview, and people are getting rejected from jobs even when they meet all of the qualifications. There's less job security than ever with rampant layoffs and quiet firing, and there seem to be a ton more candidates for any given open role. And this has a huge impact, not just on our wallets, but also on the way that we feel about ourselves and the future. It's leading to anxiety around finances and long-term career prospects. It's causing confusion because the things that you used to do to get a job aren't working anymore. And in a world where many of us root our identities in what we do, it's easy to start questioning who we are. But I want to stress that if you're feeling this way, first of all, it's not your fault. Second of all, it will not always be this way. But also there are things that you can do today to turn your story around, which is why Christine and I have been working hard to put together a program with lessons and exercises that will help get you out of this spiral and into your next job. Our 4-week masterclass launches this Friday. And in addition to a bunch of self-guided projects, you'll also get one-on-one guidance from us. And if you're interested but kind of on the fence, we also have a bunch of free resources that scratch the surface on the work that we do in the masterclass, and it'll give you a better sense of our style and see if it matches your approach to learning. So definitely check those out. But this topic has become very near and dear to our hearts. After working with countless job seekers, we've we've come to realize something that's really profound that has allowed us to help people time and again get out of this cycle of rejection. And that is that recruiting has changed. And unfortunately, candidates are still getting the same old advice, and it doesn't work anymore. So what's changed? Well, it used to be all about the resume. Fun fact, the first resume ever written was credited to Leonardo da Vinci in 1482. He was trying to get the Duke of Milan to hire him as an engineer. And he didn't end up getting the job, but over the years, the resume has become an absolute must-have for professional roles. And a whole industry of resume writers was born. And there are many of them still out there that would be happy to charge you hundreds of dollars to write your resume. But these days, the people that you need to get in front of, i.e. recruiters and hiring managers, aren't looking at your resume. They're looking at your LinkedIn. LinkedIn serves as a massive database of candidates with all different backgrounds and areas of expertise. And LinkedIn Corporate Recruiter is the most sophisticated candidate sourcing tool on the planet, with dozens of extra filters allowing recruiters to find candidates who meet extremely strict criteria. And as a result, qualifications for open roles have become more and more specific. So what does this mean for you? Well, you need to go where the eyeballs are, because at this very minute, there could be a recruiter looking for someone with your exact skill set. But you need to have enough information on your profile to show up in their search results. And you need to have the right information so that recruiters can easily understand what it is that you bring to the table. Because if they can't find you or they can't understand how your skills match their requirements, then they're just going to move to the next guy. This all started as a hypothesis that Christine and I had, but after putting people through early versions of our masterclass, it's become clear just how effective optimizing your LinkedIn can be. So Christine, you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, I'd love to, Sarah. So the reason that we even endeavored into this project, this cohort that we're going to be hosting on Maven in the first place, was because we've both seen over the last couple of years specifically that in the face of massive layoffs and, as Sarah mentioned, quiet firing, it's becoming harder and harder not only to find tech jobs, but to find strategic roles, director level plus 150, 250 kind of compensation. Because, as she mentioned, the requirements are so stringent and so specific. And today, a lot of companies don't even post those more strategic roles. So the best way for you as a candidate to be able to even be eligible for those is to strategically position yourself online. And the best tool for that is LinkedIn. So when you really uncover your unique strengths and understand where you're most qualified, because we all have something we're great at, right? And then you can showcase that on LinkedIn, that's going to make the difference. And I have seen dozens of people at this point come to me and say, within 24 hours, I got the first legitimate recruiter inbound outreach I have ever gotten in my career. Or, wow, overnight, one woman had 36 messages in her inbox. So depending on your career and your experience, you could really go from having to hunt down companies and trying to suss out opportunities and figuring out what might make sense, all the way to having things come to you. And that's really where we want you to be. So that's how this work came to be. And we're seeing really strong results so far, even just with the first folks who have gone through it. But Sarah, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Today is meant to be short and sweet, but we've packed a ton of great info in here. And the first thing that we're going to discuss is what information needs to go where on your LinkedIn profile. Then we'll talk about strategies to uncover your strengths and articulate them in a way that resonates with your audience. And we'll also review some common mistakes to avoid. So what information matters and where should you put it? The two places that I look to evaluate candidates are the About section and the Experience section. The About section is really an opportunity to introduce yourself, summarize your greatest hits, and pack in some great keywords. Most of the best profiles that I look at categorize and list their skills at the end, which is great for indexing and search results, but it's also really helpful for me as I'm trying to figure out whether or not to reach out to someone. It's also a great opportunity to add some personality, which is not required, but it can help you leave a lasting impression. So let's look at some examples. I love this one. I sourced this candidate years ago for a role with one of my clients, and I still remember this profile. I sought it out as an example for this. And she starts with, I believe in slow jams and girl power. And then she ends with, all right, let's make some money moves. And then in between, she has a ton of really specific accomplishments. This one is a little bit more bland, but it's jam-packed with great keywords, and that technical skills and expertise sections at the bottom is exactly what I was trying to describe earlier. And then here's another great example, just so specific about what he's done, what he's accomplished, team sizes, areas of expertise. So yeah, those are some great ones. Does anyone have any questions about the About section?
I had a question, Sarah.
Yes.
Ravi here. On the first one, the first example you showed, it listed about and listed a great start to get your attention, and that, of course, it leaves an impression as to going through a lot of resumes. It does leave an impression about Joey because you'll remember those, right? Of course, you're looking for the actual meat of the what she can do, but it'll definitely bring you back when you're trying to think of all the ones which you read today.
Exactly.
So I think that's my takeaway from that. That I do have what I've done, but of course I have not added a quirky bit of what would do outside work.
Yeah, because if you think about it, I mean, the hard skills are definitely important, but if you're looking to get hired by somebody, there's a person on the other end, and they're thinking about who are they going to be working with. So I don't consider myself all that funny, so I've kind of always shied away from like this kind of thing. So again, it's not required, but yeah, I mean, years later, I remember this woman, and she's also a marketer, so it's even more important, I think, if you're in marketing,
Yeah,
you can, leave
do
a
that.
impression. Yeah.
Yeah, like the other day I was reading a resume on scientists, and there was one line in there which kept me thinking about it. It's like, if I won the lottery ticket, I would be a full-time student. So, so that I think those kind of lines you do remember, but you remember
Yeah,
exactly how they correspond to your work. But yeah, thank you.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, my pleasure.
Ravi. Also, Sarah, I think this might be a good moment to address skills. We have two questions in the chat about
Oh,
skills as it relates to the about section. Is this
yep.
the place to layer in skills? And also, do all recruiters look at skills or only the ones using a LinkedIn recruiter? Those are the two that we had so far.
So there are a couple ways to answer that. LinkedIn corporate recruiter does have a way to specifically search for skills, but those skills, the way that the search functionality works, it'll actually pull keywords from anywhere in your profile. So I do recommend, if you have some hard skills to point to, like SQL, Python, R, those are awesome skills to add. It doesn't really make a difference if you do it like through LinkedIn where they have a little button and you select it, or if you just do it the way that this guy has. But I think the biggest thing to remember with skills is make sure to add hard skills. What are some of those ones that I hate? Like team player,
Collaborative.
or what was that?
Collaborative.
Collaborative. Yeah, collaborative, team player, like that stuff.
Innovative.
And like the soft stuff, I'm going to evaluate that when I'm on a call with you. I'm not going to take your word for it if you're collaborative or a great person to work with. So skills should always be hard skills, and they should be quantified as well. But great question.
And there's a question about how long the about section should be. And then I think if there are other about section questions, folks, please put them in the chat and we will address them at the end. But then we're going to move on to number 2, which is the experience section.
The about section, in terms of length, doesn't really matter. I've seen great ones that are small or pretty short, some that are longer. It kind of depends. I think for readability, using line breaks a lot to break up the text can help. but I haven't seen anywhere I'm like, oh, this is really way too long. It doesn't count against you. So the about section, there's a lot of kind of room for creativity there. So I'm going to move on to experience, but absolutely continue adding questions into the chat. So the experience section, unlike the about section, this usually tends to follow a pretty strict format. So every role that you have, I want you to start with a quick pitch of the company that you work for. This gives some really great context. It also allows you to pack in industry keywords and gives the recruiter a sense of what scale you've seen. And then do a bulleted list of responsibilities and accomplishments. Oops, sorry, guys. And then you can also add skills here, but again, keep them short and sweet, stick to hard skills, keep it to under 5. I see this all the time, even on profiles of people that I know are on the market. So as a recruiter, I have a long list of requirements that I need to fill, and it's quite possible that this person meets all of them, but I will have no way of knowing. And so more than likely, I'm going to pass because I only want to speak with people who have a very high likelihood of being that person that will get the offer at the end of the day. Now, when I see a profile like this, right away, I can determine with pretty high certainty whether this person is, at least at a high level, a good fit for the role that I'm sourcing for. I know all of the basics: company revenue, industry, customer size, team size. I also know what results this person drove. And it's certainly possible that he's not a good fit for the role, but at least I know either way. Here's another great one. Again, here we've got that company pitch, a description of what he's done. He's also given us a sense of the scale that he's seen. So he joined it as the very first product hire. If you were the first of anything on a team, that's always great to call out. And then he also helped scale the company from 50 million to $1 billion, which is pretty impressive and a good data point for me to know. Here's another great example. Again, company pitch, specific information about our role and accomplishments. And notice that there's no extra fluff. They're just specific data points in bulleted format. Common mistakes that I see. The first one is just only listing employer and job title. I see that all the time. Please do not assume that anyone knows what your company does or what someone in your role at your company does. Don't just give a boilerplate of the company in lieu of anything else. When I first joined LinkedIn many years ago, that's what everybody was doing. So I just copy pasted and thought that was fine. But we've come a long way from there. I get really annoyed when people just have like 50 skills. It's like my pet peeve. So don't do that. Again, you want to quantify skills and be descriptive. If you forget a company pitch, but you've done all the other things, you're probably in pretty good shape. But again, it's a great way to give context on the industry and scale. And it also allows you to pack in some great keywords. So even if all of this makes perfect sense to you, I know it's not fun to write about yourself. I know I don't like to write about myself. And a lot of times the most impressive things that we do are hard for us to recognize because they come so naturally to us. But each of us has something really unique to bring to the table and something that will make employers go to bat for you, open doors for you, raise salary bands for you. And that's a major focus of our course, is helping you as quickly and painlessly as possible get those little nuggets of gold out of your brain and into your profile. And to get you started, I think it's helpful to think about your background in these terms. What types of companies have you worked for? Right? What impact have you driven? What specific skills do you have and technologies that you know? And I would recommend, writing down anything and everything that you've done. You can always cut stuff later, but there's a lot of stuff that like you wouldn't think makes a difference, but it could make the difference of you actually getting into those search results or not. And then another thing to consider is whether you're an individual contributor or a people manager. That information that you need to include is really different. And you want to make sure that you answer these questions. Specifically, if you're a people manager, always, I harp on this, and whenever I do these things, is how big is your team and are you managing managers? That really, really matters. So Yeah. So I mean, this is really a focus of the course, like I said, is helping you figure out what information do you really need and like brainstorm that as quickly as possible. And once you can better articulate your strengths, you'll be able to better convey your value, not just on LinkedIn, but also in interviews and in real life. And you'll start to naturally apply, and interview for roles that you're more qualified for, which again leads to naturally gaining more leverage in salary negotiations, because that company is going to really want you. And Christine, you want to do takeaways?
I will stop emptying the chat. Sarah, can jump in there for key takeaways. Key takeaways in 2024, surprise, LinkedIn is your resume. So do yourself a favor. You would never send a blank resume. Do not have a blank LinkedIn. If you take nothing else away, that is literally the #1 thing that you can do right now to improve your job search and just improve your professional presence all over. #2, uncovering your unique strengths. And actually, Rebecca asked a great question here, which is, hey, I've worked in big public companies and I want to make a transition to tech companies or startups, right? Well, what are your great strengths? If you're entrepreneurial, maybe within the context of large organizations, you've done a lot of change management initiatives, or you've stood up new programs, or you've hired new divisions. That's fantastic. So it's simply a matter of figuring out what you're truly excellent at. And that's where we come in with guided brain dumps and things in the course. We also have some free materials that can get you started. And then you can strategically position yourself in a way that sets you up for those roles that you want. And then finally, showcasing that experience, as Sarah showed you. If you can put out there, hey, this is what I've done, and this is how you should see me, and a recruiter or hiring manager can instantly see, oh, wow, you've managed managers. You've been a true director managing a team of 150 people globally. You know how to manage remote teams. If they can check all those boxes, they're going to be significantly more likely to reach out to you because they know you're qualified for the role they're looking for, which is huge. And this is why when you do these things, you'll get that recruiter outreach and also honestly more options to start 2025 off right, because the best time to look for a job is January, but the second best time is September. So if you get your act together now and really start making sure the wheel is moving, then you can be confident that 2025, you're going to be setting yourself up right if you want to relax and stay where you are for the holidays, or you could get a jump start on that and make a move even faster than that, which leads us to where do we go next? And finally, if you all are curious to learn more about the course, we'll send out a note for this video to anyone who signed up. And also we have a free resources page, which Sarah mentioned. So if you want to get a feel for our teaching style, what it's like to work with us, our tone, all that jazz, we have lots of great free resources that you can go check out as a sneak peek. But if what you are looking for is to truly make a commitment to yourself that 2025 is your year and that you're ready to up level in this next role, and that you know you're ready to commit and you're ready to spend 2 to 4 hours a week really digging in and understanding what your professional strengths are, overhauling your LinkedIn in a way that's going to set you up for your job search, and getting that one-on-one personalized coaching and guidance to hold you accountable to be successful, then you can join Sarah and I for our LinkedIn Masterclass course starting this Friday. It's Friday the 13th. I'm choosing to think of this as an auspicious date. And we do have a special discount just for you all with code WELCOME20. Again, this will be included in the follow-up email. But this is a discount only for folks who sign up for this lightning lesson. And the only other piece I wanted to mention is that we do actually have the Maven 14-day money-back guarantee for our course. So if you're considering taking it and you're not sure that you're going to get the kind of bang for your buck that you want, just know that that's always there for you. We have yet to have anyone ask for it, but it is there if you have that in the back of your mind. So Sarah, I'll turn it over to you for closing thoughts and see if I can address any of those other questions here in the 2 minutes we have.
Yeah, no, that was all I had. So did you notice any other questions that jumped out, or does anyone want to
There's
ask
a question about the ready to work badge, Sarah, which I think might be good to answer quickly. Should you have the green circle around your field?
the green circle. It kind of depends. So one of the things that we'll go over in the course is settings. And so Christine and I typically recommend not to do the green circle open to work so that everybody can see it, just because honestly, I won't not reach out to somebody just because of it, but sometimes it can be more attractive to seem like you're employed and then talk about that later once you're in an interview. But it is important to note that if you go into open to work in settings, you can you can select recruiters only. And this is so, so, so important. Literally, LinkedIn Corporate Recruiter is like 3 times more expensive, maybe 5 times than Recruiter Lite. And one of the biggest differences is that you can see everybody who's open to work. And so nobody at your company is allowed to like see that little like open to work thing. Anyway, we talk about this more in the class, but I would always recommend, if you are looking even passively, to tell recruiters that you are open to work, because you're more likely to get a LinkedIn email.
And then we have in your professional opinion, I don't know what your opinion is here. Will the job market be better in 2025?
Yeah, heck yes, absolutely.
I said yes.
I don't I don't have a crystal ball, but like, let me tell you, I started my business in 2019, and the first 3 years were like, I mean, crazy. And then for about a year and a half, until a couple of months ago, I pretty much didn't have a business. I started a podcast and was doing other things, but like companies weren't getting funded. And now I'm back to turning clients away because I have so much business. So people are hiring, they're hiring for great roles. And I'm just going to put it out in the universe that that's going to keep going.
Wonderful.
Well, I think this has been very helpful, Christine, Sarah, very, very helpful. We'll definitely check out the training, the ones which are starting this Friday. And I really appreciate you both taking this free time, out of your busy days to do this for all of us. Otherwise, it's like a blind tunnel, just yourself with a little light trying to, oh, I can see something here. Trying to go through the search. So this is really, really, I cannot stress enough how grateful we are for this time, precious time you're sharing with us and the skills. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all for being here. Again, we'll send out the materials, and I also put our LinkedIn profiles and our email addresses in that last slide. So any questions or comments, feedback is really welcome. So thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you. Hope to see you all Friday the 13th. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.